Well, welcome back, friends of my channel. Thank you for supporting my channel, keeping me up um, current, and everybody always enjoying and commenting and liking my videos. I really do appreciate it. Like I said yesterday, I got a special video. I was going to try to do this afternoon, but it didn't work out, so we're doing this a little after 8:30 at night. And today is going to be a franchise review, so this may go on more than 10 minutes. First off, I just recently bought a new phone. It got over there charging right now, where I would show you. I haven't never had a big screen, touchscreen phone, so I got that. But I'm going to try to see if I can do some videos with that. See what happens. I also got a lot of people who remember, like in the 90s, there was a drink called Zima that came out. I went and bought me a 6-pack of that. So I'm going to be drinking this while doing the review. One of the drinks that I used to drink all the time back in from 97 to 2000. I drank them all the time. They actually had a different flavor. I think it was this is like a citrus beverage, but I think the other one was kind of like a lime flavored one. And a lot of people back then, would put like Jolly Ranchers put in there and give it more flavor to it. But I really like the drink. I've drank almost half of one. Almost drank almost half of one already, but. Anyway, so on to the review. So today's review franchise, I've showed this cover many times here on my channel. This is the Slumber Party Massacre, the 3-disc set containing all 3 films. I know that they've actually a lot of people consider the 4th one either Sorority House Massacre or Cheerleader Massacre, but basically, these are the 3 films that are the best. So I remember when I first saw the Slumber Party Massacres. So the first one came out in '82, so that was like 36 years ago. And then the second one came out 31 years ago, that was in '87. And then the third one came out in 1990, which was 28 years ago. I first saw them in the early '90s. I think it was like '90, '91. I saw the first 2. And as I've gotten older, I've actually really liked them more so than I did then. I did like the second one more than the first one because of the guitar driller killer played by what's his name? It's hard. Atanas Illich. Yeah, he did a great performance in that as a driller killer. Not taken away from Russ Thorne, the actor who played Russ Thorne, Michael Valelia. He nothing taken away from him, but anyway. So and the third one I never really saw. So. Because the video store I lived, the town I lived at, and the video store never had it, and the only way to go rent it, I had to go 50 miles to go rent it somewhere, and I just never had the time or the money to do it. And so the third one I never actually saw. And now I know that the early 2000s they came out with Roger Corman's New Horizons came out on DVD, like they did the Saturday 14s 1 and 2. They came out with all 3 of them, and both Sorority House Massacres, and I never got a chance to buy them. So the first time I actually saw Slumber Party Massacre 3 was when this set came out, and I believe that was 2010. And so I've only actually seen Slumber Party Massacre 3 about 5 times in the last 8 years. So kind of late to the last chapter of the series, but anyway, the first movie, the Slumber Party Massacre that came out in 1982, it's a classic slasher flick. Now, a lot of people who've not seen these movies, this series, all 3 films are directed by women. Amy Jones, she directed the first one. Deborah Brock directed the second one, and Sally Madison directed the third one. The one thing that I really like about the Slumber Party Massacre trilogy is that each one of them have somewhat like a driller killer motif in it. There's a lot of cast members that have went on to do other horror films, and that all three were directed by women. So that was an interesting concept. Now I do know that Sorority House of Massacre, the CAD, came out before Slumber Party 2, was actually directed by a woman too. Her name was Carol Frank. So going on to Slumber Party Massacre, the first one. The first one is basically the setup of the series. It never really continuation with the same character because each character dies at the end of each one. Well, the second one is debatable, but the first one, let me get into the plot real quick. Basically, the first one is where these girls are in a basketball team, and they're all going to a slumber party together at their house. And there's also neighbors that were invited, but they don't come, and because she's taking care of her younger sister. So basically, and there's a driller killer going around killing people. He had already killed an early appearance by Brink Stevens earlier in the film, and killed a maintenance lady already. And so, and then the other thing that was really cool about this is that a lot of horror films, they did like the women were always in danger. I mean, I know that a lot of the 80s films, they had put a lot of women in danger and they were killed by men, but the men were kind of like not very a big part of the film. They were just kind of like how would you say, they're just like cannon for the killer to kill off, because they really didn't have I'm not taking away from the actors who played the roles or anything, but they just definitely weren't big part of the film. Getting into the cast, the one girl, the main character, Michelle Michaels, she doesn't really done much after this. I mean, she did a couple things and she doesn't act anymore, but I think she did a great performance. You have the Robin Still, the late Robin Still, who unfortunately died. She was a really great actress. I mean, I remember her from American Ninja 4, Sorority Babes, and the Slime Ball Bolorama. She was a great actress. Like I said, Michael Vavilla, he was the guy that played the driller killer, an early appearance by Brink Stevens. You had Andre Honorov and Deborah DeLosio. She did a great performance too. She went on to play in the 1988, 30 years ago, Iced, the horror film about Killer on the Slopes, which also starred the lady that played on the Addams Family, the little girl. She was actually in that movie. But Slumber Party Massacre, on a scale of 1 to 10 on the Richter scale, I would give it a for the sheer fun of the movie and the nostalgia of the film, I would give it a solid 6.5. I give it a 6.5 on the Richter scale. Reason why I don't give it as high as I do is because, I mean, I've got each film has its good qualities about it, and there's each film that have its bad qualities about it. But all in all, I mean, when you've seen over 5,000 horror movies like I have, you kind of tend to like try to make it to where you don't have every film that you enjoy in the top 20. So I'm going to give it a 6.5. I like a lot of the acting was not bad. There was a lot of thrown in there like dialogue that really was not really meant to be in there, but there was a funny part where the one lady, Andre Horne, she goes to eat the pizza after the pizza guy has died, and there's nothing wrong with eating the pizza just because the guy's dead. Just a little side note: the guy who played the pizza guy was Aaron Lipstedt. He actually directed Android at the time this came out, and he helped on Saturday the 14th, and he helped in a bunch of other films, and he does direct movies. Yeah, so the Slumber Party Massacre, I definitely recommend it for people who enjoy like early 80s slasher films, and then like to watch like the early appearances by Bree Stevens. Yeah, she is naked in the shower scene, yeah, so that was Slumber Party Massacre. So let me get a drink here. Okay, now on to Slumber Party Massacre 2. The second one, to me, it was my favorite of the series. Now, does it have its bad stuff? Yes, it's got some bad stuff in the movie. Bad dialogue, bad stuff like that. But you know what? It's a fun film. I mean, you got a driller killer running around with a guitar playing, and the Atanas who played the killer, I mean, he knocked it right out of the park. And you've got an early appearance by Crystal Bernard, who went on to have a starring role in Wings. Also, actors from the movie is Patrick Lowe, no relation to Chad Lowe or Rob Lowe, but he went on to do Primal Rage. He really didn't do much after this. Kimberly MacArthur, she was actually a Playboy playmate prior to this, and she's one of the ladies other than Crystal Bernard that was not naked in this movie. Juliet Cummings, the only lady who was naked in this movie. A lot of horror fans know who she is. She played in Psycho 3. She played in Deadly Dreams. She played in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. So she has definitely ran the gamut in the 80s. There's also Joel Hoffman, Joel Hoffman played in Pumpkinhead and Slaughterhouse around the same time that this was made. He's a great friend that I have on Facebook, and he no longer acts anymore, but he's a great guy. Scott Westmoreland, and Heidi Kozak. Now, a lot of people may know Heidi Kozak. She played in, after this, went on to play in Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, and then she went on to play in Society. So she definitely is well known. I think she still acts today. And the director, Deborah Brock, she went on to do Rock and Roll High School Forever with Corey Feldman. Now, Amy Holt, and before I get into the second one, I just want to remember that Amy Jones, who directed the first movie, has went on to do tons of other films, either writing or directing, and she has got a new TV show that's on television today, and she's a great she's a great director. I liked her movie that she wrote, Rich Man's Wife, and she's done some great movies. I think she had some part in the movie The Relic as well. But on to Slumber Party Massacre 2. Slumber Party Massacre 2 is not a continuation of the first film. You've got the only continuation for the first film is that the young girl that Robin Still was babysitting, which is her sister. Her character is in this film as Crystal Bernard as older, and her sister is actually in a mental institution. So there is a little bit of a continuation from the first one. Other than that, there is not. The killer, obviously died in the first one. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, gave away the ending. You probably already knew that he was going to die anyway. Most killers do die at the end and come back, but I don't think that killer was coming back. Anyway, so the main plot of the movie is basically she's like in a band, and her and her friends are making music, and they want to go stay at this like a house for the weekend or whatever, and they bring some like wine and bring some of their boyfriends or friends or whatever, and slowly she starts having these memories or not dreams about this driller killer, even though she knows that the original driller killer died. But she's has this guy that's like plays the guitar and all this kind of stuff. And it's like I say, Atanas really did. He flew the book out, and he really played the part. He Especially when he starts singing this out, "Let's Buzz." I mean, it's crazy. It's fun. I mean, a lot of people don't like Slumber Party Massacre 2. I give it a 7 out of 10, just for the pure fun of it. But I would give it a 6 if it wasn't for the fun of the film. I would definitely give it a 6 out of 10. But it's such fun film that I give it a 7. And I highly recommend it to who actually seen the first one and you want to see the second one. It's not, like I said, the only continuation is the characters that played in the first one are played by other actresses in the second movie. There's some great scenes in the film. One is when Heidi Kozak goes in the bathroom and she sees this pimple on her face, and then she starts to pop it, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and just pops, and it goes all over, and then a chicken goes flying out, and you see blood coming out the top of its neck, and just crazy stuff like that. A little side note is that Christopher Bernard's mother in this, her name has escaped me, but she went on to do Night of the Demons 2 as the nun that helps them kill the demons, and she actually played the grandmother on Charmed. I liked her performance, even though her performance was really small, but I did like that. But anyway, Slumber Party Massacre 2 is definitely worth checking out. Now, when we get to now on to the third one. The third one's more, like I said, I have not seen it as much as the first two, but I do know mostly about the film. Like I said, Sally Madison directed it. The cast, let me go over some of the cast. We have we have Keely Kristen, Brittan Fry, M.K. Harris, David Greenlee, Brandy Burkett, Hope Mary Carlton, Maria Claire, Maria Ford, and you also have small parts by Marta Kober. Marta Kober played in Neon Maniacs, Friday the 13th 2, Rad, and then you have Devin Jenkins, who was the girl in the Free Falling video from the late Tom Petty. She actually, this was 1990, 5 years prior to this, 1985, she played in Twisted Nightmare, which didn't get released until 1987. So you know the little part here. I always had a thing for Devin Jenkins after seeing the Free Falling video and seeing her part in Twisted Nightmare. So and then Hope Mary Carlton, you may remember her from Ghoulies 3 and Blood Match, and some of the earlier Andy Sedaris films. I think she played in Savage Beach, and I have the collection on DVD of the Andy Sedaris films somewhere over there. But yeah, he did like 12, or not. I don't think he did all 12 films, but I think he did majority of the films. Anyway, she played in some of them, and Maria Ford. Maria Ford definitely, she did a lot of the movies in the 90s. I do one of the films I do remember she played in Unnameable 2. And yeah. So on to the plot of the movie. So basically, you saw the first one, the driller killer died. The second one, it was more of like a ghost sort of. And then the third one, there's a lot you don't really know exactly when you first watch the movie who the killer is. I mean, I know you probably know who the killer is if you've watched the movie several times, but you don't really know who the killer is when you first watch the movie. And at least for me, I did. And after I started watching the movie, I figured it out. And so there's this killer that's killing around, killing these people. He kills Devin Jenkins. He kills Marta Kober, who happens to be a pizza delivery person. and some of the friends are like all of them. They all go to slumber party, and the boys end up getting dispatched. And one of the guys is actually the killer, and he's going around and drill, and he's killing these girls. Now, when I saw, like I said, I saw this in 2010. So when I saw this, I read up on it, and I found out that there was a controversial scene where he rapes one of the ladies, Maria Ford, and it definitely was controversial. Probably, excuse me, excuse me. All right, well, one more. Sorry, I didn't mean to sneeze on camera. But anyway, she gets raped by the driller killer, and it's definitely it was a big deal back then. But when I watched it wasn't that bad. Sorry, one more. Oh, jeez, sneezing on camera. Oh, whatever. Anyway, Slumber Party Massacre 3 is not my favorite of the series. I would definitely rate it I'll give it a 6. I was going to say 5.5, but I would give it a 6. It's like I said, it's not my favorite of the series, and I would have liked seeing another one. It's not going to happen. I know the guys that brought out this box set, the Scream Factory, Shout Factory guys, under the Roger Corman Cult Classics label, and one of the guys that helped put this out is Jason Paul Cullum and Tony Brown. Tony Brown actually has a website. What was the name of that website? I think it was Old Hochstetter Place. So yeah, check out that website if you want to keep up to date with any information on special stuff that I didn't get to mention. But yeah, I think it's Old Hochstetterplace.com. I don't know if it's changed the name of the website, but Tony Brown, that's his website, and it talks about mainly the Slumber Party Massacres and the Sorority House Massacres. And Jason Paul Cullum, he had definitely put a big talking about on this booklet here. He's a friend on Facebook, and he's a great guy. He does a lot of Scream Factories and Shout Factories, like special features and things, and yeah, so keep sneezing for some reason, man. Probably just damn weather. But Slumber Party Massacre 3, like I said, is not my favorite of the series. It's a 5. I would give it a 5.5, but I'm going to be generous and give it a 6. I did like certain things about it, and as the series went on, I definitely, if they had done another movie after this, maybe they could have captured the glory and the foundation that the original movie started with, and went with that. But for being at the last one, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's okay. So this was a review of the Slumber Party Massacre franchise collection, and hopefully you enjoyed this. I know you didn't join me sneezing, but there's nothing I could do about that. If you like this video, leave it a comment down below, give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you next week with a whole new video. And hopefully I can try to. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try to do Tuesday videos, but after working 4 days straight, and and you're sleeping most of the day because you got to work third shift, it's kind of hard to do videos at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's why this video is almost at 9 o'clock at night before I even get this uploaded. But thank you for subscribing to my channel, and I hope you enjoy this, and I will check you out on the next video.